Hi, I'm Stephanie Cardwell, and I work with the Drake University Entrepreneurship Centers, and we're proud to be another sponsor this year. The sessions this year so far have been great, and we're looking forward to tomorrow. And right now, I'm going to kick it off for this one. This is How to Power Your Marketing with Katelyn Soults from Illuminated. Katelyn Soults is the Chief Creative Officer at Illuminated, a digital agency based in Waukee, where she helps businesses become the industry leader through done-for-you content marketing and web design. She is passionate about crafting custom strategies for clients that, when executed, transform companies and the lives of their leaders. Katelyn co-founded Waukee Young Professionals in 2018 and was the 2019 Waukee Young Professional of the Year. In 2020, Katelyn became a certified story brand guide, allowing her to help more businesses benefit from the power and results of story-based marketing. And we would like for everybody to please hold your questions for the end of the presentation, and then we could put them into the chat. So thank you, Katelyn.
Thank you. I'm excited to chat today. Thank you, everyone, for being here. So let's see here. Okay. As we dig in here, I want to start with the fact that too often marketing falls flat. As a business owner, it can be really stressful and frustrating when you pour time and effort into expanding your marketing presence online, trying new strategies, trying new platforms, and then just not experiencing the results you're looking for. Whenever we put content out there, we're hoping that we'll see those likes and comments, those video views, the website traffic, the email opens. And so when that doesn't happen, it can be pretty frustrating. But there are so many books and courses out there that try to tell us exactly what the right formula is. And I've been there too. There are so many avenues that tell you that the correct path to success is to follow one set of steps. And that if you just follow those steps, you'll see the success you're looking for. But today, my goal is not to add to your to-do list or to create more complexity in your life and make marketing even more of a headache or what's going on in your world. My goal is to really simplify it for you and hopefully make it a little more fun as well, so that you can flip the script that's going on and just really focus on how you can simplify your marketing while also making it more effective. And so before we dig on how to use story, let's focus a little bit more on what the problem is in getting there. So to get us going, I wanted to say that I know that small business owners like you spend a lot of time and even energy and dollars in creating content, and it's annoying when it doesn't produce the right results. And so I want to say that you're an expert at what you do. We all know that. You have a great customer experience. You know what you're doing. You know that when a client comes in your virtual door, that you are able to help them through your products or services to resolve their problems and get a positive outcome. So that's not the problem that we're focusing on today. And also, your audience does spend time online. I sometimes hear from small business owners or my own clients that they wonder if their audience just isn't online as much as they thought, or not at the right time or on the right platform. And that's why they're not connecting with them online. But we're super hyper connected online. Everyone is scrolling social media, checking their inboxes, constantly checking messaging apps. We're all online. It's just that the problem is there's so much clutter out there. And so it's hard to sift through and stand out. And so it's not the problem either that your audience is not spending time online. The real problem, though, is that you're not grabbing your audience's attention. Just as I was kind of hinting on there, that you're not meeting them in the middle and giving them a reason to say, they've grabbed my attention. I want to spend some more time reading their content, heading over to their website, or even reaching out to them. You have to kind of prove that you're worth spending time on and interest in. So my advice to you is that it's time to try something that's not so new. We're not trying to add new strategies, new formulas, or teach you a new skill here. Storytelling is something that we all do naturally. It's an ancient practice. And so here we're trying to figure out how to get storytelling into your marketing. And I know that there's a lot of books and talks out there that talk about things conceptually, but then can leave you wondering, how do I truly implement that into my business and into my life? And I'm someone that really likes examples and visuals myself. So my goal today is to show you some examples of as well when I give you tips on how to really bring some of that storytelling and that fun aspect into your marketing. And so my point here is that you can use storytelling to create clear targeted content that engages and converts. And here there's kind of a twofold piece here, that you're creating better content, not that the content you currently create isn't great, but it's more strategic, and you have this greater understanding with you of storytelling on how to create the right content based in storytelling to then truly engage your ideal customers and convert them into paying clients, whether that's purchasing products or services from you. And so imagine this for me. What would happen if your own marketing could attract the attention of your ideal customers? If they're scrolling on social media or through their inbox, that subject line or that caption in a social media post stood out and grabbed their attention. It made them feel understood, or that resonated with a pain point they have, or it was a fun or engaging, graphic or video that really stood out to them. And then not only did it attract their attention, it compelled them to engage with you. They shared that post, they commented, they replied to that email, they reached out to you directly, visited your website. So we've attracted their attention, and now they're engaging with you. They might be following you online, liking your accounts, or seeking out other opportunities to engage with you. And then even beyond that, we want a pool of them to even drive to become paying customers. We want them to schedule consult calls or do whatever you want them to do to become a paying customer. And what if all of your marketing could do all of that for you in some ways and be a sales tool within your business, and not just something that you try to do to check off as a box to do business? And so that's what storytelling can really do for you when we focus on implementing that. And so why stories seem to work really well is that, again, touching base on how we're so distracted and just overwhelmed online. There's a study that showed that Americans consume roughly 100,000 words per day, and that's throughout their day through different mediums, either hearing those words or reading them. But we're just so bogged down. And I know we can all relate to that at this time of year, that there's so much to read and so many pop-up ads and so many things that we kind of just wish we could clear from our feeds. And to mix in with all of that, it's nice to know, though, that people are 22 times more likely to remember a fact when it's presented in a story. That kind of takes some of the pressure off. We're so used to being sold to with facts and figures, like why this team is the best to work with or this product is the best one to buy. But if you take some of that pressure off, that you don't have to always have your sales hat on when it comes to creating content, you can focus on how stories make it fun to create content and fun to consume it as well. So with this marketing that works, you can see a lot of benefits, and I've listed some of them here for you, and these might relate to what you're looking to get out of your marketing. You could free up more time in your schedule. When you know what works, you don't really have to spend a lot of other time thinking about it, and you can just spend time kind of keeping the machine moving of creating more content and getting it out there. Or you could even hand it off to a team member or someone else to do for you. You could also help more ideal customers, because when you have marketing that works and you're able to get really descriptive and narrow in on your ideal customers, those are the customers that come to you and want to work with you. You can also stop worrying or wondering about your marketing. Have you ever wondered if all of the time that you're putting into it or the money you're throwing into it is really worth it at the end of the day, or how long you'll kind of keep spending time on it before just writing it off as something that you've tried and didn't work within your business? That doesn't have to happen any longer when you start to see those results. And you could even potentially grow your team if that's of interest and continue to scale your business forward, knowing that marketing can actually be a sales tool to help build that audience and convert those new customers for you. So let's dig in a little bit more about how to get started with story. Now, this is a main tenet of what I work on with clients within Illuminated, the agency I co-own, and as a story brand guide as well. And I want to preface by saying too, if you haven't read the book, How to Build a Story Brand by Donald Miller, it can be a great read to dig in a little bit more on the storytelling pieces I'm talking about here today. So if you feel really invested in trying to figure out how to incorporate some of this in your business, I would say spend a few hours reading that book. It's not a huge time investment, and that could help educate as well. So my first step is to think of the story you're trying to tell within your marketing as having a hero and a guide. So when you focus on the hero, that's truly your customer here. And so many businesses approach their online marketing by talking about themselves. So if you can kind of flip that script and actually focus on your customers, you see an immediate competitive advantage. People are a little self-absorbed, aren't we all? We want to see things that interest us or relate to us when we're scrolling online. So if we see a post that speaks to the pain points we're experiencing, or the goals we have, or the joys or interests we have in life, then that automatically tunes us in to want to engage and relate with that content more than someone else's. So focus on your customers as the hero. And instead of putting your brand as the hero and talking about why you're the best, how many years you've been in business, or some of the different accreditations you have, those are still important factors and can be helpful in the sales process, but they shouldn't be the spotlight of the show here. Instead, you're playing that role of the mentor and of the guide, helping the hero of your story walk forward and ultimately find success. So that path to success is really the services or the products you offer. So ask yourself these questions as you think of how to portray your customers as the hero in your story. I like to ask people, do you know your client well enough to understand their problem? And your immediate answer might be, well, of course, I know what my client's problems are. But it's beyond what products or services you offer. It's truly the outcome they're trying to get from it. And not enough messaging content focuses on those deeper concerns and desires. So think of like a landscaping company here as an example. They don't just sell lawn mowing and landscaping services. I wouldn't go out and probably just buy lawn mowing or landscaping services. But at a residential level, they're truly helping clients have a home that's the envy of the block. They're making it worry-free to have a yard that they can feel confident in. And that's something people would buy. Previously, it might have felt like a headache to keep up with things, or they felt like the embarrassment of the block. So if they can hire someone to take that pain away and also give them the successful outcome of confidence, and even that they're the envy of the block, that's a successful client relationship and something that company could use to improve their marketing and see more success. So think about what people are really buying from you. Is it just what you have to offer, or are there a bunch of hidden layers beneath that are the outcomes and the goals that your clients have? And how can you speak to those more in your marketing? So think about what that problem is that you solve and how you can just really spread that throughout the messaging you use. The second piece here, once you figure out a little bit more and spend some time on how you can position your customer as the hero, is to go ahead and update some of the messaging you have. And I don't mean this to be a big to-do list of how you need to rewrite your website and all of the content you put out, but take a look at your website, your social media profiles, the newsletters you put out, your email signature, and any print collateral you have, and go ahead and flip some of that messaging around if you feel like it spends a little too much time and effort talking about yourself. Focus on your clients and what they get out of working with you, the successes they see, the failures they avoid. And so it can be pretty easy once you think through this concept and spend some time either getting to know your customers better or just reflecting on that, to spot areas where you're actually coming across as the hero when you actually want to be the guide and position your clients as the hero there instead. So I like to focus on the website first because I like to call that your digital doormat. Really here, that's where first impressions are made, where if someone is interested enough from social media or your email or anywhere else they find you, they'll end at your website. And that's where they'll either stick around or they'll click away and kind of forget about you and move on to something else online. So building from this story brand methodology I've been referencing a bit here, there are three main components that you want to nail when it comes to your website. The first is that you want to clearly state what you offer. It's actually surprising sometimes websites when you click and you don't know anything about the website. If you didn't click through to another page, it can be hard to know actually what that business does. And so that's the first thing. And it can be very clear. It doesn't have to be cute and clever. Just clearly state what you offer. And then you want to add in a layer of how it makes your customers' lives better. What success that can they see by working with you or buying your products? And so think a little bit more about what is that either common success that people see, or what is a major one that you want to call out. And once you've had that layer added into it, we want to have a clear call to action that you are driving people toward when it comes time for them to reach out to you to either learn more or discuss how to do business with you. And as a bonus tip, this should actually just be one call to action across your website. A lot of times it feels like just human nature to add in a bunch of different calls to action. They should go visit your blog. They should learn about you. They should sign up for your email list. They should, submit your contact form or maybe give you a call. There are a lot of actions that can happen and can be placed on websites, but we can get confused quickly as humans. So keep it simple. Keep all of your calls to action outside of signing up for like an email list to the same action you want people to take. That helps your own client experience, and that you're funneling most of the actions into, let's say, your inbox if you want people to submit that contact form, or maybe use a calendar scheduling tool and they can schedule an appointment with you. You're funneling all of that into one place so that when someone does want to buy or work with you, they know what action to take and there's no guessing there. Because when we leave it open to guessing, the odds are that they're going to get confused and click away. So I want to show you a couple of examples, since I'm such a visual person and you might be too, on what this looks like played out on a website and one that's missing. So on the what not to do website here on the left, we don't really know what this company does. And I actually didn't even click further to see what they do, so I don't know myself. But proven possible wrong doesn't really give us a clue on what they do or who they do it for. We know that we can explore the projects they do, and they have some other pages at the bottom, and it might be related to construction or buildings. But there's just a lot of brain work that has to happen here to try to put together the pieces if we don't already know what this company does. We're on the right-hand side, this Gardens of Babylon Landscapes. Their headline here is very clear and simple: landscape design and installation, maintenance, and garden center. So as a prospective customer, if I need landscape design and installation, I know that they could be a potential fit for me. And they even offer maintenance, which could create a more worry-free process, because if I had them come and install and do landscape design for me, they could help me down the road as well. And it sounds like they also have a garden center where I could go and purchase from. So they've nailed that first piece of clearly stating what they offer. And then for that second piece of how it makes their customers' lives better, it looks like their customers want a renewed connection with nature. And so if I was their customer, maybe that would mean a lot to me that I could bring more nature into my yard. And so that would speak to me that, yep, I really want to talk to them because they get me. And they have that purple button there as book a consultation is the action they want me to take if I want to reach out to them. And they actually have that called out in two places here to really drive that point home. And as an added benefit, let's say I've just learned about them. I'm still in my research phase. I'm not ready to book a call quite yet. I can also access free tips on landscape design, which offers some free value that might be helpful to me. And then also maybe cement them as kind of a front runner in my mind that, wow, they're offering so much value for free. What would they do once I started to pay them and maybe hire them for their services? Then the third step here is to really embrace your role as the guide. With this new mindset, every time you communicate, whether that's through marketing or through other avenues of business or life, you have an opportunity to invite people into a story. So whether that's introducing yourself at a networking event, holding a sales call with a prospective client, writing a social media post, or working on some copy for your website, you have an opportunity to show up as that mentor and that service provider, or that, the provider of products that can help transform people's lives. So I'm not trying to get too cheesy here, but there's a lot of power in what you do for people. And so if you take that role as the guide where you're not always talking about yourself, but framing how you can help your clients reach their goals, you will automatically tap into their needs and their desires, and they will want to spend time with you, whether that's online by following you or scheduling that call or that first action you want them to take. And so I wanted to show you a couple examples of how brands can kind of be the guide. And here I have a couple of social media posts. So on the left is a chiropractor, And this actually promotes a virtual workshop they held. And instead of just saying, hey, we're holding a virtual workshop where we're going to talk about this and sign up here, and leaving it vague or just focusing on the chiropractic office, they spent the time and dug into their core audience, which is here, parents with children with chronic illness. And they spent some time to really make it relational. So I'll go ahead and just read the post. It says, while we often hear of seasons for certain immune issues, the truth is that for many families, their kids seem to battle recurring ear infections, nonstop sinus congestion, and chronic coughs almost all year round. They just can't seem to kick it for good. It all adds up to way too many trips to the pediatrician or even immediate care. You've tried the antibiotics, have the inhalers, have gotten rid of gluten and dairy, and have a whole army of essential oils and supplements taking over your cabinets. If that's your crew, then the Kick the Sick virtual workshop is perfectly suited for you. Dr. Adam will explain the science behind chronic illness and autoimmune challenges in kids in a simple, never-before-shared way. You'll learn the science behind it all, but most importantly, you'll get straightforward, simple action steps you can take to finally help your kiddo kick the sick and get over the chronic congestion, inflammation, and struggles. Follow the link in our bio to reserve your spot. And so I hope it makes sense here that they actually saved the kind of call out of the workshop to the end of this post. And they're really setting the scene first so they understand what these parents are going through and they're able to relate to them on this deeper level. And then on the right, the Center for Clergy Enrichment is an online platform that offers education for church leaders. And instead of a post that just calls people to enroll in a workshop, they take the time to walk through how enrolling in a workshop will benefit them as a church leader. So this one says, you have questions and don't want to wait to find the answers. The good news, you can enroll in one of our workshops in only minutes. Okay, so that's nice to know that it's really easy. I can get started without much hassle. So they break it down into 3 steps, which is helpful because 3 is just kind of a scientifically chosen number that's helpful in marketing, that 3 steps really stands out for the brain, where 4 and 5 are too long and just don't really stand out. So the first step to enroll in a workshop is that action they want people to take. They can take a look at the topics and select one if it fits their needs. If they work through the lessons then, which it's nice to hear that they're designed for busy schedules, these church leaders are busy, the workshops are broken into short, actionable videos. Okay, so they can do it at their own pace. They can work through these and it's pretty stress-free, and then they can move forward with confidence and clarity, that they're able to apply the teachings, they'll have a clear plan and tools, and essentially they'll have answers to the questions that this post starts off with. So my goal here is that these are still social media posts that any business is putting out, but there's just a little bit of forethought and a practice that is developed that becomes very routine over time, of how instead of approaching your social media posts in the example here as how to make a sale or how to advertise something like a workshop, how you can take a little bit of time and space in your captions to relate to your audience and discuss their fears, their problems, and just what's going on in their world. So these 3 steps that we discussed today are that you want to focus on the hero of your story, and then it's really your clients in general. And your business can tell more than one story. If you have multiple service offerings or product lines and you have different customer segments, you have multiple stories running on in your business, and that can be fun because you get to kind of mix up the stories you're telling online. Then once you've dug into that a little bit and how you can actually flip the script there and focus on your customers, you can go ahead and start updating your messaging. And I recommend being pretty lean with that and just go ahead and start updating the messaging you already have. Don't feel like you have to start rewriting things from the get-go. Instead, just tweak things so that they're a little more aligned with when your customers land on that website or land on your social media profiles, they feel a little bit more at home. And then thirdly, embrace that role as the guide and be the guide for your clients, no matter where you're showing up in a call or in online marketing platforms. And so by starting to use these 3 steps, you can start using storytelling to create clear, targeted content that engages and converts. Because the goal here is that you're putting out great content, you're putting out free value so that the right people find you at the right time, and you can start to do business together in a way that shapes their lives for the better. Now, if it still feels a little overwhelming and like there's a lot to do to take on this mindset and sit with it and start to do some of this work, I recommend starting with your website. Start with your website copy because, as we said, that's the digital doormat for your business and where the most first impressions are made. And if you feel stuck on what to work on first, I actually have a web audit offering on my website that's free, no strings attached. And I would be happy to go ahead and take a look at your website for you, because I know in these first few steps, we're staying a little broad here. So if you want some more specific feedback to what your website should work on to incorporate more storytelling, I would be happy to take a look at it for you. So you can request an audit and download these slides as well if you'd like to have them at illuminatedagency.com/SBSS. So know that I would be happy to give you some more individualized feedback so that you can start incorporating storytelling to see more results. Thank you very much. I'd be happy to take some questions now. That's a great question. Is it more the client's story than ours? Yes. So when you think of story, it's not necessarily your story as a business owner or how you came to be in business today. That can still be fun to share along the way when you're talking with prospective clients. But the story you're telling, hear the story, I'm thinking that I should consider my clients' stories. Yes, there's a couple ideas I have for you here. You can share the individual stories of your clients, almost like a success story of if you worked with clients and how their lives were changed and what happened as a result of working with you. But also you can just pull pieces from your clients as a larger audience and what their problems are, what they're facing day to day, what life is like, and use those in a broad sense to communicate how you understand your core audience and kind of just relate to them and kind of just come alongside them through your social media without just having to sell with every post.
Oh, how long are your posts? What do you recommend?
For social media, I like to say that they're as long as they feel like they need to be, which I don't mean to not provide an answer with that. But don't ever push yourself to feel like you have to add length. But and you don't have to tell one story within a whole post. You're just almost opening a story or talking about your clients in a way that draws them in. And so I would say that I'll actually go back here. These posts I pulled from, so on the left is Instagram and on the right is LinkedIn. And those are both, great lengths. They can be shorter as well. Know that a lot of times with social media platforms specifically, the post will be hidden. If you get part of it will be hidden if it's long enough. And so they'll have to click to see the whole thing. But that's just part of social media life. And we're all used to that. And so I would just say you want to make every word count. Don't let jargon or buzzwords or kind of some fluffy language keep your captions feeling like they're kind of bulky and long. It's okay if a caption is pretty short, if it actually kind of packs that punch for you.
Thank you.
Does
What
it
about
help you with
graphics? Yeah.
Yes, that's having a photo or a graphic is great. And a lot of times, let's say you're linking to a page on your website or something where there's not really a photo coming through, it gets really easy to just add in your own graphic. So whether that's writing in the kind of the core tip you have for that post or sharing a photo, whether it's a stock photo if you don't have any or you've had some photos taken, it's really helpful to have some sort of image or even better, a video. Videos are the best performing content across social media algorithms right now. But I know a lot of people aren't super interested in recording videos of themselves either. So know that if you are interested in doing a 20 or 30-second video, that's a great option as well. But photos of humans or of people interacting or just a person on the screen can be really helpful to draw people in.
Could you, while we're talking about video, would you like to elaborate on that just a little bit for us do-it-yourselfers like Alicia's leading to here? Is your phone sufficient, or are there some good tools out there that make it really simple to have something that's fairly clean and attractive?
It is, yep. And actually, I can relate to this as a small business owner myself because I don't love being on camera, but you don't have to hire a videographer or a professional to record video of you. People really like authenticity, and sometimes it feels like we lack that a little bit in all the sales messaging online and everything we're bombarded with. And so if you could just like grab your iPhone or whatever, your mobile phone there and turn on the video and just start recording yourself. Just as long as you have some decent lighting and the audio works well enough that you can get a clear sound, there's no problem with just going ahead and uploading that, which it's nice too, because then you can kind of go ahead and record in the moment when you feel inspired to share that message.
That's great. You mentioned authenticity, and that is the epitome of storytelling, right? You're making that connection.
True.
So very, very important right now. Slightly different topic, but while you have this same screen up, can you talk to me about hashtags? What's the best approach with these, and how much is too much, or how much is, what's the floor and the ceiling, all of that?
Yeah, let's talk about it. So I view hashtags as a testing game. See what works and just keep testing different ones. I think it's nice to go ahead and create a hashtag for your brand. So like for myself, when I post to Instagram, I have hashtag the Illuminated agency. So, and I put that on every post I put out there. So if someone found me and they clicked on that hashtag, they'd be able to see a lot more, all of my posts without having to just go to my profile. So it can be nice to think about creating one for yourself or multiple for your brand. But then Instagram caps you at, I believe, 30. I don't use all 30 for when I post or post for clients. But I'd say it's more about quality than quantity. There's some tools out there that you can find, I think some free ones as well, where you can research hashtags or look them up. I always like to at least just type Instagram ones into the search field to make sure that the content you believe this hashtag about is relevant to what you're seeing in results. Because there might be a hashtag that you think relates to the content you're writing, but then when you search it, it might have really heavy usage in a different field. So that would mean that if you're seeing constant posts that are unrelated to what you're talking about, then you might not want to use it because people who are actually following that hashtag or looking at it wouldn't be looking for you, I guess. On LinkedIn, that's kind of a newer trend still with hashtags. And I like to recommend usually offering 3 on LinkedIn. This here an example has more than that. And it's nice that LinkedIn automatically kind of gives you some suggestions when you're either typing in or pasting in your caption. So you can either pick from those or type in your own. But I have found some success before in using ones that they recommend. They usually have some kind of broader topics, and that has kind of informed well then for engagement.
I think you touched on this a little bit, frequency. Especially today where there's a lot of noise out there, what's the rule of thumb for how frequently you do post and share? And at what point are you maybe being too loud?
Sure, that's a great question. And if you turn to Google for this, you'll find some conflicting answers and some answers that might scare you off a bit, because some sources like to say that you need to be posting a lot to gain traction. And I like to come at it from a sense of what's also realistic, because a lot of small business owners are managing this themselves or have someone on their team managing it that have other roles as well. And so we can't spend all day every day on social media. And so I like to think it depends a little bit on what's your primary social media channel. Have 1 or 2 that you think are aligned with where your audience is, if those aren't your only social media channels, they're kind of your prioritized ones, and post on those 3+ times a week. There are brands I see that post, like small businesses that post like daily, like Monday through Friday on Instagram, because that's where their audience is. And that can work great. Otherwise, I like to say at least 2 to 3 times a week for channels that you feel like you want to invest in terms of your time spent there. And really then it's more about consistency than anything. You want to develop a pattern that people can come to expect from you, so they know that they can look up your profile or look you out as well, and you'll have fresh content.
That's great. Thank you. We have another question here. What about posting quotes or links to other people's content and articles? What are kind of this nuances around that? And then also, Mia's mentioning she always wavers a little bit because it's not her voice that is being
Sure.
shared technically.
Yeah, that's a great question, Mia. As far as posting to others, I view it sometimes as great, like supplemental content. It takes a little bit of the work off of you having to create original content. But it shouldn't be the only thing you're posting, because then, as you're kind of hinting at there, it's not your voice, it's not your unique position on your business, or your own tips. And so it's still helpful, but it's not adding that layer of credibility or directing your prospective clients to where you want them to go. And so I would say it can be nice to sprinkle in there, but you want to select wisely, of course, too. It's something that you find inspiring or that you think your audience would find value in. And it could also be something that is almost aligned with your audience, but isn't exactly in your wheelhouse and what you would speak to. So it doesn't have to be something that then you could have written a blog post on that. It's just something your audience will find value in, and use more of that as your logic for why to share something else.
That's great. Thank
I'm
you.
glad you found that helpful.
What about scheduling and planning in a calendar? Do you create a calendar and schedule posts, or just share the in the moment inspiration, or how do you go about that?
I think both. Following both is a great plan. As far as having content planned out and having that foresight to know what's ahead in your business. What are you trying to tease or prepare your audience for? Does your business have seasonality, or you want to focus on a service or product line, or you're about to release something, so you're trying to almost prime your audience? And so you have content scheduled and topics scheduled, and then you're going ahead and incrementally writing content based on however often you like to do it, and whether that's monthly or every couple weeks or weekly, whatever works best for you as kind of the writer behind that. But then leave it flexible so that when you do feel inspired, or something comes up in your world, or you want to announce something fun, you can go ahead and fit that in as well. We just want to make sure that you are thoughtful of it beforehand, so that you know that it still relates to what your audience wants from you and positions them as the hero and isn't just talking about yourself. Oh, thank you, Anne. Yeah, I think it's always fun when you feel inspired in the moment and want to share something, like an aha moment, or a lot of times I find social media ideas from discussions I have with my own clients, what's coming up in their world or what questions they have for me. And so don't feel like you have to overthink it sometimes. What feels really basic to us as the business owner is actually something that your clients are like dying to know.
This is, I'm thinking also of holidays. So I may just have pick your brain here on some things that our retailers and restaurants, specifically our consumer facing folks, should be thinking of, or, should you be sharing pictures of products or of your food, or there are just, 3 tips that they should be thinking about?
Yeah, as far as like photos go, like you said, anytime you can connect what people can expect to what they will receive is always great. And so photos or videos are great. And I think adding to that authenticity a bit as well, sharing a little like a video of someone talking about what's to come, what's happening behind the scenes, just making that added layer of connection, it can really just help you stand out. And it's fun for people who already follow you, and kind of sometimes more shareable and gets more engagement. And so then you have a wider net of people that see it. So I think that's great. And then also think ahead so that you don't feel like in your busier times or in the throw of things that you have to still get a social media post out. Because when we leave it to the day of, unless we feel inspired or there's an event or something specific you need to take a photo of, let's say, for an example, in that moment that you're waiting on, it's hard to actually make the space to actually do that in the moment and that day of. So plan it out in advance to take some of the work off of yourself as well.
That's great. And it very much speaks to Mia's comment here that she has a friend who keeps a notebook of inspiration that she finds and then uses that to build out her calendar.
That's perfect.
That's perfect. Well, this has gone quickly. Fantastic information, Katelyn. Thank you so much. And thanks to all of you who opted in on this breakout session. We really appreciate it. And just such a great dialogue. We have one more here. What tools do you use to build your calendar?
Sure, and that's a good question. I would say it depends kind of on what your preference is. If you are more paper and pencil person, I've seen people use just calendars or planners to kind of write things in and base it on their schedule or what's going on in their world. There are also different tools online. I like the tool Buffer. Actually, I use that a lot within my business to schedule social media posts and kind of build a calendar and go ahead and write posts out at the same time.
That's great advice.